First of all, welcome to today's session. Essentially is learn how custom training and adoption solutions can propel your business forward. So as a quick introduction, my name is Kate Collins, and I'm the Global Director for the Custom Training and Adoption team. I have been here in the Custom Training and Adoption team since ServiceNow started offering process user training about 10 years ago, and I'm passionate about helping our customers be successful. Lauren?
Yep. I'm Lauren Udwin, and I'm one of the senior managers of the Custom Training and Adoption team. My background is pretty heavily in change management, but also in training for global transformations. And I have to say, I truly love working with this team. And that includes you, Kate.
Thanks, Lauren.
The results that we drive with customers are honestly unparalleled and never cease to amaze me. Our team keeps us on our toes for sure.
They definitely do. Thanks, Lauren. All right, so we're going to cover just a few things that kind of housekeeping type items that we need to cover at the beginning of the call. Lauren, over to you.
All right. This presentation may contain forward-looking statements that are based on our beliefs and assumptions and on the information currently available to us only as of the date of this presentation. I'm not going to keep reading this. You certainly can read this, and afterwards, when the recording is posted, the slides will also be posted, so you all can read it again at your leisure.
Yes. As I'm sure everyone will. All right.
Today's session is a part of the Live on Now ServiceNow series, a curated event series to connect you with ServiceNow experts and peers that can help you deploy your products and achieve value faster. We hope you join us again at another webinar or meetup. You can see the schedule by scanning the QR code or using the link provided in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. So the last real housekeeping items, which is number one, if you could please stay on mute, we would appreciate it. There will be time for Q&A after the presentation. Please use the Q&A feature within Zoom to ask questions throughout the session. Then we'll look at some of those questions when we get towards the end of the session, because there'll be plenty of time. And then the session will be recorded and shared on the ServiceNow community forum. Also, the slide deck will be PDF'd and also shared as well. After the session ends, you'll be prompted to fill out a short survey. If you can just take a couple of minutes to fill it out, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, but now to the exciting part, a poll. Oops, I clicked too many. All right, so
I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. We want to know where you guys stand. Do you have a plan for user adoption? And it's perfectly okay if you don't, or you don't even know what we're talking about. That's what we're here for. We are going to help you to create one, or to know at least where to start. So I'll give it a few more seconds, but we're seeing quite a mixed bag. And I do see something in the chat that says kind of, sort of. We should have had a sort of option. Appreciate the feedback.
True.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and I'll show you guys what it says. Did it share the? All right.
The results?
Yeah. All right, I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay. All right. It looks like it ended. But basically, if you're not seeing it, we have 45% yes, 45% no, 9% I don't know what that is, and then probably we can count a couple of people in the kind of know what it is, right? As we saw in the chat. So that's it. Without further ado, let's get going. So some high-level objectives for today's session. Number one, understand why user adoption is important in the first place. Number two, learn a little bit about ServiceNow's custom training and adoption offerings and how they can help your organization. And number 3, gain confidence in what needs to be considered when putting together an adoption plan. Throughout this session, while we'll be speaking to our department's offerings and services, we're also going to provide you with guidance and tips on actions that you can take to help drive adoption within your organization. So, big question, how can you maximize ROI on your ServiceNow investment through user adoption? So number 1, very important, embed adoption activities into your project plan. Organizations fail to plan for and communicate the impact of change to stakeholders, resulting in poor user adoption, loss in ROI, and unfortunately loss in revenue. So it's important that you ensure you embed these important adoption activities into your project plan. To quote Benjamin Franklin, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. Training and preparing users for the upcoming go live is not optional. You have to make sure your project teams are ready to support this important activity to ensure that your implementation is a success. Number 2, plan enough time. Organizations underestimate the time and effort required to build training content in various formats between user acceptance testing and go live. This is probably one of the top mistakes that I've seen over the last, even before my time at ServiceNow, the last 20 odd years in the industry. Process user training content, whether it's instructor-led materials, on-demand courses, videos, whatever it is, they take time to create. Sometimes it can take several weeks. And they also should be created when the implementation is almost complete in order to capture the screens of what users will experience in production. So when I talked about squeezing between UAT and go live, it's because often that's the time when the implementation has gone through most of its sprints, and you have a system where you can take the screenshots from that's in relatively good shape. We typically would love to take them after UAT for any last changes that are made, but sometimes we go in parallel with UAT. But it's something that kind of has to be done quickly. So always make sure that you plan enough time for that. And lastly, ensure you assign adequate resources. So organizations can lack internal resources with application knowledge to plan, build, and deliver user training, also to write communications and drive overall change. It's necessary to factor in who will create your content and enable any internal trainers to be able to scale the training out to your user community. So, yeah. Sorry, Lauren, I'll pass it over to you. My mouse was slow. Go ahead.
Go ahead. So while creating and embedding an adoption plan is always important, here's some signals that you may have heard or just need to listen for in your organization that indicate that there's a really critical need to address adoption as soon as possible. You may hear things like, all eyes are on this change. The last time we did a project like this, it didn't go so well. This change will reinvent our business. Or our employee satisfaction, especially around communications, is low. Or even there's a real appetite for change in our business. We need to do this properly. These are all indicators that you need to focus on adoption.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lauren. So one of the things to remember is that even the best technology cannot solve all our problems if people do not know when and how to use it. How change is managed is critical to the success of any implementation, and much of the success in managing change is related to people and the way they work. People are truly at the heart of change. There is a famous saying from Woodrow Wilson, if you want to make enemies, try to change something. This always brings a smile to my face because while it makes you laugh, it's so true. People resist change because it's a normal and natural reaction to do so. Think about something that changed for you recently in your life. Did you accept the change right away, or did it take some time to get used to it? Remember, if employees do not understand why a change is happening and how, most importantly, how it benefits them, they're less likely to embrace that change. Our mission in custom training and adoption is to make user training and adoption easier for our customers. And our key focus is to enable process and end users through customized and engaged training delivered in multiple formats with an integrated change plan to support you. All right.
So we're just checking that you're still awake. Anyone out there like koalas? Basically, to summarize what Kate just said, got adoption insurance? We're the team who make it our business to ensure a seamless software launch. We are adoption insurance for you to make sure that your return on investment in ServiceNow is realized quickly and efficiently while reducing the risk of project failure.
Great. I love that. Got adoption insurance. Thanks, Lauren. So some questions for you now. Are there certain roles that we work with, Lauren?
So that is a great question. And with people at the heart of change, it's important to think through all the different user groups or personas that we refer to. So as part of our change enablement activities, we guide you to plan training, communications, and an overall adoption strategy tailored for each of these specific groups. It is critical to think of each specific persona and what their needs and wants are regarding this change. Try to put yourself in their shoes. What do they need to know? What do they need to do? How do you want them to feel? When we develop custom training, our primary focus is on this process user audience. That's this audience in the pink here. These are the people who use a configured application in production to support business processes, the masses. So from a service desk agent to an HR staff member, or even a lawyer using legal services delivery app, we focus on helping those people who use ServiceNow on a daily basis to learn exactly what they need to do with their jobs inside the configured ServiceNow platform.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lauren. So can you give us some tips on what to consider when looking at persona and user groups?
Yes. So as Kate mentioned earlier, while we're going to talk about our services, we're also going to give you guys lots of tips throughout that you can take back and think about immediately. Here's one of those slides that's helpful. So these are all questions that I ask for each of those different groups. And then ultimately, the answers to those questions will help you to create a tailored adoption plan. So one of the first questions that I ask when thinking about a different persona group is, how should I engage them? When should I engage them? What's in it for them? What is their motivation? How does this change affect them? What do they need to know? How do they prefer to be trained? How do they receive support? So these are all things that you need to think through for each and every group that's going to ultimately help you to tailor everything to them. And it's ultimately going to make them want to adopt the new platform or whatever the change may be that you're implementing.
Excellent. Thanks, Lauren. All right. So now that we talked a little bit about the importance of user adoption, let's cover our portfolio of custom training and adoption offerings at a high level, followed by a slightly deeper dive into our expert engagement offerings. We offer a variety of options to suit your needs, and there are both high touch and do-it-yourself options to fit any budget. So starting from the low touch options on the left, the ServiceNow Adoption Toolkit is included with all impact packages, But if you don't have an impact package, it can be purchased a la carte as well. The toolkit offers both change enablement templates as well as customizable training templates. And when I say training templates, it's things like PowerPoints, Word documents that have
exercises
in them. We've got quick reference guide templates. We have information on how to customize the templates and all that stuff. So, you can use these robust templates to launch your adoption activities much quicker than if you were to build the content yourselves. And then on top of that is the adoption accelerator or the adoption toolkit accelerator. It needs to be, it's layered. So you need to have the adoption toolkit to purchase the accelerator. But essentially what the accelerator does, it accelerates your adoption efforts with guided adoption workshops, helping you to make the most of the adoption toolkit resources, tools, and templates. So then we also have customized process user training in many different formats, and we have change enablement, different services, different tier levels. So we're going to dig a little bit deeper into these two, the custom user training and the change enablement. So I'm passing that back over to Lauren.
So you may still be asking, why do I really need an adoption plan? Well, based on extensive research, and not just our experience, having a robust adoption approach directly impacts the overall success of a project. It increases the probability of reaching your project objectives by 600%.
Wow.
And that's not a typo. I had to keep checking the statistics because I thought that's insane, but truly 600%. It also increases the probability of being on or below budget, and it increases the probability of being on or ahead of schedule. So you may be thinking, okay, I'll risk it. What happens if I don't have an adoption plan? Well, productivity can decline for long periods of time and on a larger scale. It can have a negative impact not only on your user base, but also on your customer base. It can also lead to increased employee turnover. And in addition to missed deadlines or missed requirements, it can result in costly project rework.
Yeah.
So
that does not sound good.
No, but we've all been a part of it where, it didn't happen successfully and you got to go back and you basically have to do a lot of activities all over again.
Absolutely. And there's actually a question from Tracy in the chat, and we can address that in the Q&A section, where we've gone back in to help with adoption post implementation where it hasn't gone quite as expected. So that would be definitely something we can talk to.
Great. Yeah. So how do you plan for change? Well, our change enablement offering is specifically focused on providing support around the ServiceNow implementation in order to drive adoption. We've mapped our activities to the Now Create methodology to seamlessly integrate into your implementation, whether you're self-implementing, implementing with a partner, or ServiceNow is helping you with that implementation. We can integrate seamlessly because we're built into that Now Create methodology. And we have a variety of activities and deliverables to assist you with assessment, planning, communications, enablement, measurement. The earlier that we get involved with a project, the better. Or in general, the earlier you start to plan for adoption, the better. We partner with you to develop a tactical, tailored plan that will address your stakeholders' needs, minimizing the impact of the change to your users.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lauren. So what might be helpful here, if we put this together, is questions to consider when putting together an adoption plan. Can you give us some of those?
Awesome. Yep. So here's another one of those tips slides, something that maybe you guys can take away immediately and start to think about with your organization and your user groups. is how have you trained employees on previous implementations? How successful was the adoption? What happens if your process users are not trained or they fail to adopt these new processes? How will you handle the communications and training around this implementation? How will you measure adoption success? Have you thought about how you're going to execute on the training strategy with your current resources? How are you going to develop the materials and the content and keep them up to date? What types of training have worked best for your organization in the past? Is it instructor-led, on-demand, videos? Is it blended? Is it synchronous or asynchronous? And then there's some other questions that I'm just thinking of immediately, like how will you address turnover, new hires, or role transitions? How do you get these people up to speed on the ServiceNow platform? And does your training need to be localized? What languages do each of these user groups speak, and how are we going to support those multiple languages? So this is all just food for thought, around questions that you need to ask and address that ultimately help you to create an adoption plan.
Excellent. Thank you. And they are really good questions to think about. And it's real life stuff. I mean, we've got, because I mentioned earlier, we had a customer who needed, I think that the service portal was in 12 different languages. And so they needed a video to be translated into 12 different languages that shows just a quick video that maybe it was 5 minutes showing how to use the service portal, but they needed it in multiple languages. And, what was great is they thought about that from the beginning. We've had some customers who think about it towards the end. And it's like, okay, because whenever you have translations or localization of content in a plan, in a training plan, you have to put a little bit more time in there to get things localized, etc. So it's always good to think about these things at the beginning.
Absolutely. And even if it's not a requirement from your company that says, everything needs to be developed in 12 languages, again, if you think about how you're going to really reach that user base and get them on board and to adopt, if it's in their native language, then that's already one more hurdle that makes it easier for them to adopt. So you just, again, need to think about what is that user base? What do they need to know? What do you want them to feel? What do you want them to do? And put yourself in their shoes. And hopefully that makes it a lot easier for you to develop what all of the needs are.
Perfect. Thanks, Lauren. Excellent. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about our change enablement offering, and now I'm going to talk just for a little bit about our customized process user training solutions. So to start off with, there is a reason that we have an engaging team full of outgoing individuals, and it's because we need to excite and empower users to do their work in ServiceNow. We conduct professional and engaging training customized to your specific configurations and workflows, delivered via instructor-led training or on demand, supporting a blended learning approach. Every customer is different, hence why I have my picture of the robots here. And we become experts on your implementation and your processes in order to put together fully and truly customized content. So now I'm going to do a very quick tour through our custom process user training offerings. Do not fear, because this is quite a fast tour, but in the PDF of these slides that's being sent out, there is an appendix that has a little bit more information about each of these offerings. And also we're going to give you our custom training email address so you can reach out with any questions that you have. So first of all, process user training content. So we design process user training content customized to your configuration so that users know exactly what to do in the system. You can maintain these documents moving forward and leverage them over and over. We can deliver some of this content through instructor-led training. It can be either virtual or in person for your process users directly, including hands-on exercises in your instances to reinforce what they have learned. Also, we conduct train the trainer workshops. That's a very popular option, where in addition to teaching the material that we put together, we work with the students on training skills and incorporate teachbacks, ensuring that you are prepared to scale your customized training for the masses. Hopefully this is not like the Blair Witch Project and it's making you dizzy as I do this, but
no, it's going slowly enough, I think.
Go slowly. Okay, good. All right. So rapid training. So rapid training is one of our newer offerings. It's a more agile approach to development delivery because we don't put the slide decks together for this, so we can do it in a more rapid time frame. This is demonstration training only. We still immerse ourselves to learn your process and your, how you've implemented your application or applications. And as well as doing demonstration training, in the rapid training offering, we also work with you to embed job aids into your instance to further support your process users directly in the flow of work. And that's always very interesting in today's world where things need to be put together more quickly. So it can be a good option. One of our most popular offerings are recorded demo videos. These are short and sweet, and again, reflect your instance. Typically, they're anywhere from 3 to 8 minutes, covering all the chunks of a life cycle of a process. Maybe introduction to the incident application, then how to open an incident, how to update an incident, how to assign it, how to resolve and close an incident, for example. You can embed these into knowledge articles or upload them into your LMS or LXP for trackability. The content is built with closed captions to ensure that it is accessible to a wide audience, which is great. For larger amounts of users, we offer customized on-demand courses, or in the old days, we'd call these e-learning. These include simulations or try-its with videos and knowledge checks, etc. Everything you would expect with an on-demand course, and you can upload it to your LMS or LXP to assign and track, of course. And last, but certainly not least, we have our customized quick reference cards and digital job aids to support users right when they need to do their jobs. And these can be even embedded into knowledge articles and called by embedded help in your instance to provide performance support. So really having that information that they need at their fingertips, because it's important. A lot of training is done while people are on the job. So these are important aids to help them do that.
So before we jump into why specifically you may want to leverage our team to help you with this, a lot of the assets that Kate just touched on are actually available within the adoption toolkit. So let's say that you do want to build out that process user training content yourself. We've essentially jump-started that for you by creating templates for most of the processes, like Kate mentioned, incident, request. I mean, there's lots and lots of different templates that we have out there. And we have things available to you, like quick reference cards or, slides, exercises, all of that stuff is available to you through the adoption toolkit if you want to build this out yourself. But
that's a good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not to say, you definitely can also leverage our team. So Kate, why would people want to work with our team to do this content?
Why wouldn't they? No, but in all seriousness, very, very quickly, I would say that we have years of experience in the ServiceNow process user space and adoption. We're truly the experts on training these types of roles, and our customers really appreciate what we do. Our NPS this year was 79, above 70 is considered world-class. So that's something we're very proud of. And we're really glad that our customers do appreciate the hard work that we put in, because the Net Promoter Score, our CSATs are very important to us. to make sure that we're achieving, it's almost like we're an ambassador for the customer, on behalf of the customer, for their users, because our goal, of course, is making the adoption successful and the process user training successful. In addition, as mentioned already, we maintain multiple types of templates for over 32 different applications. So we can build content much more quickly. We do it day in, day out. And we know, it's our expertise. And the other part of this with our templates is that also we update those templates, and it's a lot of many hours of work for the 2 major releases every year. So all our templates are completely up to date with the most accurate information. So that's something that certainly helps get a head start to do things more quickly. All right. So we're super excited to show you a brief video that was put together by our team, which highlights the work that we did with a recent, very large global retail company. This was a big program, and I think the customer purchased all of our custom process user training offerings.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, just about, right? And plus our highest tier level change enablement package. And the results were really, really amazing. So Lauren, I will pass it over to you.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Let me take the screen back.
My pleasure.
Okay. Here we go. All right. Yeah, super proud of this project. As you can see, it was a big global project, and we have a team that is spread globally, and we're able to support those type of projects. So this was something I think almost the entire team worked on, and with amazing results. So that was great. Okay, so moving on.
So here's another one of these tip slides. Again, something that you guys can take away. This is from, experience directly from Kate and I, from all sorts of different, projects and programs and customers. And, please just, take some lessons learned from the two of us. So,
all right.
If you get nothing from this presentation, the very, very first thing I'd like you all to remember is the key to all of this is creating a robust adoption plan. Thinking through all of your different user groups and what the change means to them. You also want to assign someone to not only own the training, but also the overall adoption. Do not underestimate the time and effort that this takes. It is a full-time role. Training requires significant coordination and planning. So ensure success by having a dedicated owner that's willing to work cross-functionally especially if your implementation affects multiple teams. And one of the roles that we haven't specifically talked to, but please do not underestimate the importance of this, is executive sponsorship. It is critical to any major change. Employees need to see that leadership is engaged and behind this program. The sponsor should remain responsible for overseeing the strategic roadmap, making certain that it aligns with measurable business outcomes. They also should work with executive peers to communicate the value of ServiceNow and remove organizational roadblocks. Kate,
yeah, so
here's some of your lessons.
You know what? It was my mouse was getting stuck there. I was clicking on the arrow. It wasn't liking me today. So offer ongoing training in the flow of work. Really prioritize ongoing training and skill development so that your process users build a comprehensive set of skills and knowledge, and to drive adoption. Training should extend beyond meeting the initial rollout requirements. Training should not be a one-time event. Think about how users need to learn while they're doing their work, as I already mentioned earlier when talking about quick reference guides, etc. Support instructor-led training with resources when your users need them. So important, align training and implementation timelines. So begin planning for training early in the implementation. Creating customized content, reviewing and finalize materials, and preparing internal trainers takes a few weeks. Defer content creation until the platform is near production ready to ensure that your content accurately mirrors what users will see in production. Now, this is really important because over the last, 20 odd years in the industry, I've seen this happen too many times, which is if the implementation timeline moves out, then you need to move the training timeline out with it. Don't underestimate the time it takes to create and deliver training materials. Squeezing training into less time negatively affects the user experience and adoption. And last but not least.
Yep. When in doubt, put yourself in the shoes of the user. I like to think about it, this is my little trick, of the head, the heart, and the feet. So the head is, what do they need to know? The heart is, what do they feel? Or what do you want them to feel? And then the feet is, what actions do you want them to take? Use these 3 simple reminders to tailor training and communications for each specific user group. That's
fantastic. I love the idea of the head, the heart, and the feet. It really sums it up.
It keeps it simple. It really does.
Keeps it simple. Totally agree with that. Thank you, Lauren. Okay, so moving on to our resources slide. Now, these resource links will be put into the chat. But for more information around our specific custom training adoption offerings, check us out on the ServiceNow website. If you've not done so already, you can also sign up for a Now Learning account to access all sorts of training content. Some training courses are available for free and some of them for a fee. You can filter by persona on the Now Learning site. There are roles there that support more technical users, or there is a process user role that you can find various information and training from. As Lauren mentioned earlier, our templates are embedded into the Now Create methodology. So go out to the Customer Success Center, and inside the Now Create templates, you will find a variety of helpful assets like sample communication and impact assessments. So hopefully those are in the chat now, and you can click on all of those if you haven't had a chance to check them out before.
And for those of you that have stuck around listening to Kate and I, we are excited to offer each of you a free consultation with a custom training and adoption expert And we can help you with which solution would work best for your organization, or even if you just want to chat about adoption overall. So to engage us, please send an email to customtraining@servicenow.com and put in the subject line consultation with CT&A. This is just our acronym for custom training and adoption. Include in there your contact information and where you're located so that we can pair someone with an appropriate time zone. And then we'll get back to you to set up a time and a date to chat.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, now it's time for some questions. I know that Melissa, who is our other manager in the US, has been monitoring the Q&A chat, and I think we've got a couple for us to answer live.
Yes, we do. Tracy asked a question in the chat. We implemented earlier this year and are trying to increase adoption now that we are live. Can you talk about increasing adoption post go live?
That is a great question. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Melissa. So whether you are implementing something new or whether you're thinking about, okay, how do we just increase adoption? You essentially need to go through the same activities that we laid out in that change enablement approach. You need to kind of take a step back, think about who are all of these different user groups? How do they engage with the platform? Do we need to send specific communications? And so in the example of post go live, maybe it's those user bases need tips and tricks on use cases of why the platform is relevant to them, depending on what it is that you implemented. You may also be able to highlight success stories or wins that are relevant to that user group. You can also think about things like, okay, overall, what are the metrics that we're looking to measure for adoption? So maybe, for example, one of your metrics has to do with the time that it takes to go through a case. Well, think about what are the activities that are going to help you to reach that metric, and then tailor some activities for these different user groups in order to engage them to help drive some of those metrics. So, not to say you have to totally, go back to the beginning and restart an adoption plan, but it never hurts to just go through the same steps and really think about, how do I move the needle for each and every one of those groups? And I know it can be daunting to think about, oh my God, in some cases, my organization is 10,000 people, that's a lot. But actually, by grouping them into personas, it makes it so much easier, because you might determine that there really only are 2 different groups, or there are 10 different groups. Well, 10 groups is still easier to think about than 10,000 users. So as I said, it really goes back to just putting yourself in their shoes, and then leverage head, heart, feet.
So Lauren, let's extend that. There's a question out here. How can I scale training to support my users in different time zones and locations?
That is a great question. So one thing that I would ask if I was working directly with this customer is, how has training worked in the past, right? How has that been successful? Are there internal trainers within your organization that maybe we could do a train the trainer program for? The other thing to think about is, for the most part, historically, when someone used the word training, they thought about an instructor-led training class. And that was kind of what counted as training. That ticked the box. But training is a lot more than just that one-time event. So one of the best ways to scale is by using the platform itself. Embed job aids into the ServiceNow platform that your users will have access to. Think about making things like videos, embedding it into the platform, or if your company uses a learning management system or a learning experience platform, think about embedding that stuff in there as well. So there are many, many different ways to, to conduct training that are beyond just an instructor-led course. So think about how you can maybe marry the two using something like a train the trainer approach and additional assets, e-learnings, on-demand courses, videos, job aids. Think about how you do all of that to support a blended learning approach. And if you genuinely still are unable to meet all of the demands of all of these different user groups, come chat with us. We have a global team, we're able to scale, and we can certainly help to support your endeavors as well. Hope that answers it.
Thank you. There is another question, Kate and Lauren. When you purchase the training content, does that include updates when new versions or changes occur on ServiceNow releases? Is that included in original purchase? Is it a separate cost, or is there a subscription model?
Okay, that's a good question. So I'll take that one. If we talk, I'll talk about two different scenarios here. If you are purchasing the adoption toolkit and the templates, typically we will include updates for those for the next year. So whatever those two major releases are, you will have access to that. Once we would typically have our templates ready just a few days after general availability and up on Now Learning. So if it's the adoption toolkit you're talking about, yes, that's actually included as part of the price, and that's the same if it's in Impact as well. And then if we're developing content for you, and we're going to go on to deliver that for you. At the moment, we are looking at it. Actually, we are looking at a subscription model or updates as a service. We don't have that at the moment as an actual offering, but we have done that for many customers in the past. And typically, it's just a case of looking at what the updates are for you, and we could. We've had customers who need to get that in their budget beforehand, sort of at the end of the year. So we'll try to estimate with you what those updates may look like and how much time it would take. So essentially we can do that. We can do that type of thing for you, even though it's not officially an update as a service, but it's something that we do for our customers already. Hopefully that answers the question.
Something else that I would just add to that is the materials that, if we do customize the content for you, the materials that we provide you are in formats that you own it, and they are editable for you internally as well within your organization. So, if it's a quick reference card, you could update that yourself. Obviously, though, if you want us to do it, as Kate mentioned, we will figure out a way to help you guys to support all of the updates that you make.
Thanks, Lauren.
And there's another question. My organization already has an OCM team. Is that different to what you're talking about?
So
Lauren,
great. Yeah. So great question. And honestly, we do get this question quite a bit. And the thing that I would ask is the resources from that OCM team, are they people who are familiar with implementing ServiceNow? Do they really understand all the changes that ServiceNow is going to, and how that's going to affect your users? Are they dedicated resources? Those are all questions that I would ask to whoever your OCM lead is, just so you understand what the role is that they're going to play in this implementation. And essentially what we're talking about with our change enablement offering is done in partnership with someone like an OCM lead. Because while they know the intricacies of your company, they may know all these persona groups already. As Kate had said previously, we're the experts when it comes to a change within ServiceNow. So actually by partnering together, they'll be able to bring the expertise around changes, period, within the organization. And we're able to bring the experience of changes as it pertains to ServiceNow implementations. And the change enablement offering is very tactical and it's very tailored. And so we can, again, partner with them, and we work hand in hand really well And, the adoption is actually much better in the cases where customers already have someone who's familiar with organizational change management.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that makes me think about partners as well. We work with many partner-led implementations, and we're able to work seamlessly with them. So on a different note, but yeah, it's, we kind of fit in there very well and had lots of different combinations, right?
Oh, yeah.
Comes to who's leading the implementation, or if there's an OCM group, or if there isn't an OCM group. We've had hundreds and hundreds of different types of situations that we've worked with over the years. So
yeah, essentially, look, our goal is to help you adopt the platform. So at the end of the day, whether a partner is the one who's driving it, or we're driving it, or an OCM lead is driving it, it doesn't matter, because our goals are all aligned. They're all the same. It's just to increase adoption and ultimately your return on investment in ServiceNow. So we partner very well.
Definitely.
Any other questions out there?
No, that's it from what I see.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, in that case, if there are not any more questions, giving you a 3-second wait time there. But if there aren't any questions, of course, you can reach out to us. You've got the custom training and ServiceNow.com email address. You've gotten to meet myself and my two managers, Lauren and Melissa, on this call. So we'd be happy to help out with any questions that you have. And certainly, we appreciate your time today. Thank you for participating. We wish you the best of luck in whatever adoption journey you're taking, and we look forward to supporting you in any way that we can. Just a reminder from the people that put this webinar together to fill out that survey. If you just take a couple of minutes, because we do love getting your feedback. And thank you for attending. And hope you have a good morning, evening, afternoon.
Happy Monday to all.
Yeah. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Right, exactly. Thanks all.